Down, I said, don't let me down. I won't let you down. I said, don't let me down. I won't let you down. And we'll all hold hands and drink to each other's good health. And we'll all make plans to thank the Lord that we're born rich. And the more we...
Okay, welcome to Scrum and Disorderly podcast. We're here with the legend David Bishop, the Bish. You've got a book out at the moment, David. Can we pick that up?
Yeah, just come on.
Okay, it's all about me.
Yeah.
Obviously about you.
Yeah, well, I'll explain that to you as we go on, why that's there.
So I'm a devourer of autobiographies of rugby players, and I've read 4 this year. I won't name them, but they're all sort of more modern players. And we were talking earlier, you could change the names and photographs on the book, and it's all exactly the same book.
Well, I can guarantee you that one won't be.
Yeah, this couldn't be about anybody else, could it?
No, well, I'll tell you where it came from. I was always known as the Bish, if you like, and I was out in Spain with an ex-partner in January, and we both had a bit to drink, and you know, with these rugby brain injuries and everything else, I went and be tested with Union and League, etc. And I didn't want to read it. I'm one of those ostriches who puts his head in the sand and don't want to know, really. So Jane, my ex-partner, she read it. She read the transcripts and everything, right? And she was so affected by it, right? She had to tell someone. So, and one night we were pissed up. One night we were drunk, and she turned around. She told me she had to tell a couple of people, and it just started. I started arguing with her. You know, this is my business, my life, blah blah blah. Or why didn't you read it yourself? And we started arguing. And the next thing she said, "It's always about fucking you, Bish. It's always about you." I said, "Well, it is about me." I said, "This is my, I said, "It is about me." And funny enough, we the next day, I was getting up, and Brendan, who's the ghostwriter in the book, Brendan Gallagher, he turned around and he was just on my mind, and I said, "How did this sound?" "It's all about me." And he said, "What do you mean?" "Well, when I was getting into trouble off the pitch, it was always front page up in Cardiff in the Echo and the Western Mail. When I played rugby, it was always back page. So it was always about me one way or the other, you know what I mean? So that's the way he read it. But Jane seen it another way. She sort of said, "It's always about you." You know, in a broad northern accent. I just said to him, "It's all about me." "What all that sound?" And before I knew it, he said, "We're sticking with that." So that's how that come about. Front page, back page. But an autobiography is always about someone, you know what I mean? So that's how that name came out. That's down to Jane. It's all about me. So
Brilliant. And see, some of the stories, we were just having a couple of drinks before. Yeah. Professional sort of research and briefing. We filmed this in Talbot, for those who don't know. And there was a group of lads in there, and you were trying to bond with them. And so you said that they're the only...
Well, I went in like this, and they really noticed the role, and they didn't know me until I think you might have told, one of you told them. And then they called me back in and all that. And I said, "Well, we all got something in common." And "What's that, Bish?" And I said, "Well, if you're from Port Talbot, a few of you have been to jail like me." And they said, "No, you're the only one in here who's been to jail." But they were a good bunch of lads, and in fancy dress and everything. And yeah, it was nice. So yeah, nice guys, actually.
So I've spent a night in a Turkish prison cell, right. Which I won't go into. So how did that come about then? I know it's covered in your book. Me going to jail? Yeah. It was, I got found guilty. No, right, there was a punch up in town, basically, and I got necked for it. There's 3 or 4 of us, and there was a load of guys we had a fight with, students, I think they were, or whatever it was, and one of them had, got badly injured. When I say badly injured, tore his retina, and basically I'd got off with about 3 or 4 before that, personal fights and everything else, and went to Crown Court, and you give me 3 years for the first afraid, 3 years for the second afraid. They run concurrently. So, all of a sudden I'm looking at 3 years. And about 2 months before that, I just played for the Welsh youth. So that's how that came about. you know, you're young, you're 19, you're 18, 19, and first starting to have your first drinks and all that, and you get a bit leery, you know. And I don't suppose, looking back on my life, I probably didn't need to get drunk, you know what I mean? But I was just pretty fiery as a kid. And I mean, if you read the book, you'll see that in there. Although I haven't read it, so anyway, I'll give the story.
Hey, Bish, obviously we've played on the same teams together, played against each other, but obviously we always associate you with Pontypool.
Yeah.
So how did you? I mean, I've seen and obviously played against you. In fact, my first game against Pontypool, I was struck right by fucking Graham Price. I'm playing against Graham Price, a fucking legend of rugby. Yeah. But how did you end up? What got you to Pontypool?
Well, I'll tell you. Look. Look, Pontypool was my last game for Abervale, okay? And I'd already told Charlie Faulkner I'd be at Newport on the Monday for training. And he said, can I take that to the bank? I said, Charlie, let me tell you this. I will be at Ronnie Parade training on Monday. After I said, my last game's at Pontypool today with Abervale. And I mean, in them days, you know, you could just halfway through the season go from, there was no contract per se, you know, and all that. So, and I think, you know, the rumour around is I was going. And I said I'd stay with Abervale. I mean, Abervale was a fantastic club to me. I went to jail when I was playing for Abervale. When I came out, they were there for me. They went to pro meetings, you know, pro board and everything else. As well as my father had lined up another 3 or 4 rugby league sides at the time as well. So they were all. But yeah, and I said, and it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, was because they've been so good to me and they gave me the opportunity after Cardiff kicked me out, that I said, look, if I had a B cap, I was going to stay with them. If I didn't get a B cap, I said I'd move. So I hope Bob Dyer's not listening now, but he got his 4th or 5th B cap, you know, and I thought, what's going on here, type of thing. So anyway, Charlie Faulkner phones me, just started coaching in Newport. And I said, I'll be there on Monday training. It's my last game at Pontypool, blah, blah, blah. I goes up, I tells them I'm going. They say, anyway, we can keep you British to the Abervale committee. And I said, look, I've made my mind up. He said, can we ask you where you're going? I said, I'm going to Newport. This is after the game on Saturday afternoon at Pontypool Park. So that was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. Like, so I walks down the stairs out of the players' bar and goes through the bar where my father was, I thought. Well, he was, but... And he's surrounded by who I knew at the time. Never knew Ray Prosser. But you had Graham Price, Bobby Windsor, Terry Cobner, Jeff Squire, Snooty, Eddie Butler. I mean, John Pearl, you know, you got all these internationals there, like, and my father's in the middle of them all, pretty pissed, right? I thought, what? I guess he said, listen to what they got to say. I said, Dad, let's get out of here now. And I can't say on air, live on air, but this man, Ray Prosser, who I never knew, and he said, you're going to those black and amber bleeps, are you? And I looked at him, I said, Dad, can we get out of here? Because it's just one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, you know, with people who've been good to you and that. It's always a bit of a tug, you know. But I had to try and improve myself as well. And back in the day, then you had 4 big clubs. You had Cardiff, you had Llanelli, you had Swansea, and you had Newport. So one of the big clubs, you know. So he said, do you want to play against Australia in 3 weeks' time? And I looked at him. I said, well, you can't do that. Everyone got selection committees. Bobby Windsor, the great Bobby Windsor. You're talking to God Almighty there. If he says you're playing in 3 weeks, you are. And I looked like this. And a businessman come over and offered me a deal as well with a car, etc. and all that. But it was the Australia game that grabbed me. Don't forget, 8 months ago, I was playing rugby in prison. You know what I mean? So, you know, I jumped from there to play against Australia. So I said, you can't do that. You know, you've got selection committees. And as I said, Bobby Windsor said, he's God Almighty. If he says you're playing, you're playing. So I turned around and I said, I'll see you Monday. So I got a bit of a thing, you know, because I'm supposed to be going to Newport on Monday. And my farewell was on Saturday at Pontypool Park was really to Abervale. And Monday it turns up at Pontypool. And that was the story. You know, I was a Newport player, bound and promised. I promised him I'd be there. My last game was just a farewell to all the people from Abervale and everything else. I'll always at Pontypool Park. And I ended up playing for Pontypool, and the rest is history, I suppose.
You mentioned Ray Prosser there, one of the best coaches, I think.
No, the best. I mean, that's debatable, but I don't know always debatable, but he was... Look, he was like 20 years, 30 years. I mean, look now, you look at DuPont. Huh?
Yeah.
I was playing like that. I mean, I was playing like that. We were playing like that 40 years ago. And it was all about, we had forwards, and don't forget, man, we had good forwards, but they were creaking. I mean, Pricey, Bobby, they were all old men then, you know what I mean? John Perkins, we had Squire, and we had Eddie Butler, and we had Mark Brown, and, you know, Chris Hewish, and we had a good set sides, but the forwards were starting to creak. But Pross was a visionary, and what I mean by that is, he'd say, it's you. He'd go, it's you, and it's them, and he's pointing at the forwards. And I went, what about the backs? He went, back the backs. So what it was then, you know, and it's exactly how DuPont plays today, you know, and they say he's the best player in the world because he does everything, you know what I mean? Yeah. And that's how it was at Pontypool. He just said we were a 9-man party, we were a 9-man show. But 40 years down the road, we're talking about Scrum Masters being the best players in the world, doing exactly what Pontypool done 40 years ago. So he was just future, you know. And I'll tell you where he got it from, because I sat down with him one time and I asked him, I said, you know, he said, I went out to New Zealand with the Lions, he said, with a bit of a reputation. And he said, I soon got fetched down to earth out there, he said. And he said, the game is run, ruled and dominated by forwards. He said, if you get that parity, you can play any game you want. You can play 15-man rugby. You can play 9-man rugby. He said, you can, whatever you want to do. But he said, if you haven't got that parity up front, you're finished. And that's, you know, and then if you look back 40 years ago, I mean, when you just started, I suppose, well, we both just started, it was like, you know, it's all about the forwards. They're only a forward team. They're only, you know, they're all this, they're all that. And you can see, you know, I mean, you look at the French side, you know, the All Blacks, South Africa, they're all physically dominant up front.
Yeah.
And that's where the game's won and lost. Once you got you know, you can go on about the Welsh way. And the Welsh way is, physically, we're not big enough at the minute, or at the moment, but we haven't been in the years past, physical specimens to go out and match these people. But so we played a 15-man game, they said the Welsh way. But it's the only way we could play. We couldn't play any other way. We can't take them on up front. So what do? You spin it everywhere. And, you know, and that's the easiest to defend in the world, isn't it? Yeah. If you know they're going to come from any part of the world, it's so easy if you know they're coming from everywhere. And that was one of the and I think that's one of the biggest downfalls we got now, you know, in the Welsh setup. I don't suppose we'll get to the reads a bit later, but, you know, rugby's finished at the minute, and I don't even watch it.
No, I'm not a big watcher of it, but you mentioned Ray Prosser, and I know we've spoken in the past, and everybody who's been involved around Pontypool and Welsh rugby will always speak highly of his approach and the way he was. And down in Neath, we had Brian Thomas. Yes. You know what I mean? And
very similar.
Very, very similar. And that was but the one thing I would say, because obviously Brian was my father-in-law, but the one thing he would say was that, you know, like at that time, you know, the Australia game and how Welsh rugby was at the time, he was one who said that David Bishop should be, that's your 9 and you build around that. Do you know what I mean? And he was quite, and Thomas wasn't overly vocal about individuals. He just had a vision how we play the game.
I mean, the Rolling League gave me a great thing. I mean, we played really. I think we beat you down there, and you beat us the next game at California Park. I said I was the best player in the Northern Hemisphere and all that. You know, which is massive praise from a man.
He didn't throw around compliments lightly or sparingly. The actual quote on the back of the book: Bishop is the best player in the Northern Hemisphere. Brian Thomas of Neath in Wales.
Yeah. And he's someone, I mean, very similar to Pross, right? You know, they're both forwards and they understood the game. But when you look back at, we go back 30, 40 years ago, whatever we're talking, when you go back that far, we had this thing. I mean, don't forget we were spoiled with Edwards, JJ, JPR. You know, you had, we had Gerald Davis.
You know, probably one of the best Welsh wingers ever. You had John Bevan, who went north in the end, and JPR at fullback. You had Edwards at scrum half, Barry John, then Phil Bennett, and John Bevan, God rest his soul. You know, but we got into this thing where we were all about playing 15-man rugby, and the bottom line is, I mean, you know, you had Tommy Thomas's, we had some great forwards, Bobby Windsor, Graham Price, but they could not hold up front. So we played this game where we had to throw the ball everywhere. And the beauty of if you look at it now, the game's not great to watch or whatever, but the beauty of it now, if you've got the parity up front, you can play any game you want. But if you haven't got the parity, if you haven't got that dominance up front, and sometimes like an arm wrestle, they don't go straight away. I mean, look, you know, it's when you get into the end of a marathon, if you like, this was processed way of thinking. When he wants players on the pitch who wants to dig in and go that extra mile. Do you know what I mean? So it's like an arm wrestle. Who's going to give up first? And you know, we had this reputation about we're all about the forwards and all that. And Neath on the day when he beat us in the cup ripped us apart. Up front, we beat them twice in the season, but when it counted in the cup, we just. What I would say about Pontypool was we were a racing car was always at 80 to 90 mile an hour, right? We'd play Neath, we'd play Cardiff, we'd play Llanelli, and we'd beat them. But when they beat us, it was always the Sweps Cup, it was. But when they beat us, they would get to 85, 90 mile an hour just for that one game, you know. And we were just steady, cruising speed, always at 80, if you know what I mean. And that was enough to win us 11 whip-out medal tables or whatever it was, you know. Amazing. But the most important thing for all of us, well, especially me being a Cardiff boy, was to win a Sweps Cup. And when I come back after I broke my neck, we won it in 83. But when we played, we'd beaten Neath twice that season already, and I just knew deep down, I'm not just saying that, but they just brought the game up again, you know, and like I said, we were at cruising speed.
Talk about compliments from Brian. I know that game, 84, that you can watch that whole game on YouTube now, as I do once every couple of years. Apart from actual compliments he paid you, I know at the time, and it's well known within Neath, that he put Phil Pugh just to mark you that day. And he hit me late 3 times. And I could
listen, I love that shit, right? But I thought, fuck, I give Bobby, don't bite, Bish. I said, are you fucking kidding me?
You don't want to get it.
I didn't have a chance to get to him. Not when I say a chance to get to him. And this was another thing with people outside of Pontypool or people in, like Thomas said, hey, whatever you do, don't worry about anything else, nail him, right? And that was Pew's mission, if you know what I mean. Keep him quiet, we'll keep them quiet. And when you look back, obviously, you know, I was probably the easiest to be wound out of anyone, you know what I'm saying? And I've got to say this, when we beat you down in Neath, which was a tight game, Pewy wasn't playing. And he was a good player, you know, he was a great player. Yeah. But I mean... I see Brian Thomas and Ray Prosser very, very similar in their rugby views and the way they are. I mean, I can remember when I first went to Pontypool, 81, just before I broke my, I think we put 40 odd points on Neath. And then Brian comes in, and all of a sudden, it's a different thing on, a different.
Well, they lost to Cardiff in the cup final '84, but it was one score in it. Cardiff was running away with it, then Neath came back and Sparky, the scrum half, Gareth Jones, the scrum half, Carl Nayak, you know, but
Carl,
and I think that was a moment. That was when all these guys who were gutsy fighters had a bit of belief on the back of that.
Well, and you go the extra yard. See, that's the, you know, that's the arm wrestle. When things get tight, either your mind's going to go, or you're going to, but if you got that belief. And your fella next to you, and I'm telling you right now, it's a fact of life that if you it's a band of brothers, and if you all stick to each other, and you got one who could spark something up, and I'm not saying Pewey in that case, but like if you started a fight, you can't do it now, but look, just smack some bastard, you know. Let's get and so you know, and then
when you got everybody on that same page,
exactly.
That's when special things happen.
That's the point I'm making, and as I said, with Pontypool, we were pretty much like that for. I'd say 95% of the games, you know, but the only one who ever eluded us was the cup matches, and we beat Neath away and we beat them home twice, but we played at Cardiff and
I got to tell you this.
Neath away at home. Remind me again.
No, we beat Neath away and we beat them at home. I said we beat you at home as well.
I know. I told you 20 times now.
No, I know, but I like saying that because it cost us a cup.
Let's talk about the cup instead.
You've won more than us anyway. But the fact that because I was man of the match a year before, I had to go down, and Pewey and Brian, he came in an ambulance. He came in an ambulance. Only from Neath you could do it. They came in an ambulance, they did, yeah. Brilliant. But you got through, like, I just don't say that because Thomas said that about me, Brian Thomas said that about me. He was a great man as well. And a quiet, like Prosser, not quiet to you on the pitch, but a quiet man, you know what I mean? And great respect.
I remember talking about Thomas, I remember that determination, right? Played up in Ebbw Vale and Neath Ebbw Vale, right? And I was on the blind side flank on, I think it was on Brian Williams was the loose head. And I can hear Thomas's voice, right? He's like, score, Neath, score, and screaming at us, right? And it felt, I could feel like, you're screaming so loud, I could feel my hair fucking moving, right? Yeah. I turned round and he was there. Right? Like now you've got to have your technical area. He'd be on the pitch and fucking talking, telling you.
And the thing is, no, Roland ended up in a stand watching.
Yeah.
You don't.
Definitely no association. Like,
no. And I mean, look, the game's a different game now, Roland. Don't get me wrong, but it's not a game.
Yeah, but a dive should have been Starman, whether it was in the 80s or now. I promise you that.
Thank you for that, Roland. But the point I'm making is that look, I got to say this about the Welsh team at the moment. I'm not looking for no plaudits or anything, but I just think the team's not good enough. Right, the players are not test standard, and why I say that is I feel sorry for the players because they're pretty. We have an outstanding player in Rhys Zammit, and there's one or two other players like that. But you look at our forwards. We're coming up against New Zealand, Argentina next week, I think, and you got to cringe a little bit, And I feel sorry for the boys that our level at regional level kills me to say that. At regional level is just not good enough. And they chop it down to 3. Look, that makes our player pool smaller. I just don't know where they're coming from. And me and Roland spoke about this earlier. I watch a test match if you like, but why would I watch a New Zealand batter us next week? And look, as Welsh as we all are, and there's no one, I can't speak the language, and one of my biggest. Wish I could, but I don't. But there's no more Welsh than me, if you like. And sometimes it's not about how bad the boys are. They're just not playing in an environment good enough.
It's preparing them for
absolutely
standard rugby.
Absolutely, you're right there, Rod.
We're talking about international rugby. Come on, Australia, right? I know. It's a bittersweet because. Everybody else said, but everybody said that and since that time, that's all you've heard, and I would shout off the rooftops as well that it was unjust, but
unjust. Robbery. Well,
that try that was amazing.
Well, it was the only try against them, and I had a couple of quid on myself to score tries. Well, no, I did. I think I had 16-1 or something, and I didn't put the bet on anyway. All right, but it was my money, but I just fancied it. And look, you don't see it that time. Look, all my life I wanted to play for my country, all my life, and play for the Welsh youth, and only had one cap. Then I got sent off. I got sent off once in youth, once in union. And once in rugby league, funny enough. So only once, and it works out like the 4 ones, a cap, sending off 3 times, in different sports. And look, but it's the biggest day of your life, and everything else. And I know. Look, but you don't think that's your first and last. You know what I mean? And I was on the bench then 4 times, and everyone on the bench could understand me because I didn't want Wales to win when I was on the bench. I mean, I didn't. Why would I want Wales to win? I want to be playing. I don't want to be watching. And if I'm watching, I want them losing. And, I remember us playing Scotland at the Dance Park. Not Scotland, England. And the fullback comes up and, you know what the subs bench is like. And usually the big 5, the little 5, were down in front of you. Anyway, the kicker comes up. I goes, "Hope he got his kicking boots on today, this bastard." They all turned around and looked at me like that. I said, and you got like Tommy Turner, and he said, "Oh, the fucking you said that?" I said, "Because I want to be playing, not fucking watching." You know, and anyone who tells me on the bench they want the team to win, they're full of shit. Yeah. Or they haven't got the right attitude. But
that's true.
You know, but look, at the end, look. I mean, we're going to get to the jamming incident, are we? Or the Newbridge incident. I mean, look, it was quite plain. In the end, I thought, I'm going to make them. I'm going to make them pick me. They can't not pick me. And they never. And as soon as I goes north, I'm not joking, as soon as I go north in June, before I went to St. Helens Mine and failed the medical, so before I went to OKR in June, as I signed on at the end of June, 2 weeks later, the Big Five resigned. And I think you had Jeff Squire and Buck Ryan in there. So, but don't forget, like, when we go back to AD1, when I was at Pontypool, Prosser picked the team. There was no selection committee. I mean, you know, can you imagine Warren Gatland having a selection committee? He'd discuss things with people, obviously. You know, his coaches and his people there, and maybe his captain, maybe. But look, when you look back there, you'll be three of us going for drinks and two of us going for Mark Ring, if you like. You know what I mean? It's nonsense. And when I got my cap, my only cap, all five selectors came up to me and said, "I've been going for you all the time." Double-headed wankers. Fucking wankers, have a life, right? So,
I mean, as you hinted at then, the idea of a selection committee in modern times would be ridiculous.
But again, I bet Brian Thomas picked your team. Did he? Was there any selection committee?
No, our team was just announced.
Absolutely. You know, you go back in the early 80s, let me tell you something, that was like, you know, we got to have a committee, you know. Well, when you get committees, we all got different ideas on things, and you know, but look, like Greg Prosser, I'll tell you what happened. We beat Swansea in the cup in the semi-final, in the quarter-finals, and then we had you next, didn't we? Down at California Park, and Prosser went up to I think it was Derek Cornell and who was the copper? What was his name? Alice Williams was there or something? Alice Williams.
Yeah, that's it.
They were in the stand, and Prosser went up to him and he said, "How cannot you pick this boy?" He said, "There was a boy against a man out there. There was a man against a boy out there today." He said, "How you cannot pick him," he said, "it's just unbelievably wrong what's going on." I'm not sure if it was Cornell or RH. He turned around and he said, "I'll tell you this," he said, "while we're in charge, you'll never play for Wales again." And Prosser told me that after the game, broke his heart. And he said, "Listen, I know all these rugby league clubs in do." He said, "Get on your bike and earn some money." Yeah. And as I said, in June, then LKR came in for me. I went to LKR, and then they resigned. It was like they were waiting for me to go.
Oh, they can retire in peace.
Yeah, well,
I was going to think we can all have our different opinions.
Yeah, of course.
Based on rugby on a scrum half, we might have a different idea who should be scrum half for Wales. But you got five people. You had one cap.
Yeah.
I think you used the term yourself in your book, a one cap one day. Yeah. To a lot of people watching this, one cap would be the dream for them. But I don't think anybody who knows rugby at that time would disagree with the fact that you should have had more caps. Do you think that those five were basing it on other things other than rugby? It was a face not fit in type of...
Well, you can say that, right? Listen, I've had this put to me so many times, and no, I can't have that. I'll tell you why. Why did he give me one cap then? It's like you know, why give me one, right? And one punch. Listen, after I punched the Newbridge incident, right? I think it was on the National Stadium when, or just after they banned me from the squad because the court case was going on and all that. Tulip had his jaw and cheekbone broken by the copper. What was his name? The second row, the policeman for England.
Or Dooley.
Dooley, yeah, one of them, yeah. And that's in front of 8 million people watching and a full national stadium, right? What happened to him? They dropped him for one game, like, you know, and the captain got dropped, Richard Hill as well. He got dropped for one game. But this is in front of. I mean, it was a derby, and it was about 5,000 or maybe 6,000 at the most in Newbridge, which is a derby game. And this kid's pulling his weight about, so I just give him a clip. And if the referee sees me, I get 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So I turns up training on the Sunday. We're playing Fiji. It's Holmesy. I turns up this man, there's 3 jails across. So I goes over to Bevan. I said, what the fuck's he doing now? And then Terry Carpenter walks over and he said, we've had it from them, meaning the little 5, where we can't, you're not available for selection. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, that's what we've been told. Now, that's an easy out for me, you know what I mean? Because if they wanted me, they would have said, well, hang on, what happened to the...
to prove him guilty, innit?
Absolutely,
keep
absolutely,
him, and then if
absolutely, absolutely. You know, and then, so if you look at that, this is 85. So I missed that game. Holmesy comes off and Ray Giles gets his 2nd or 3rd cap, whatever it was. Now, all the time I'm banned from international level, right? So we're still playing, etc., etc. And then I goes up to a disciplinary committee, and this is 85, right? So the court case goes on for 10 months. It's a common assault, right? The court case goes on for 10 months. I go to court, and they got adjourned for Crown Court for a common assault, which is can't happen, right? I mean, common assault is a magistrate. It's a decision in the magistrate. But they said, because of the... and I turned around and I said, something's at work here. You know, it was the higher powers at work here. And look, I'm not saying to all your listeners, I was an angel, because I wasn't. But I'll tell you this, Roland probably one of the most violent men in the world, but if someone smacks you or kicking you and trampling on you, you're going to give him a clip. And back in our day, that was the normal thing. And... So anyway, cut a long story short, after 10 months, goes to report Crown Court. I says to my ex-wife, I says, I'll see you for dinner. We'll go to a nice restaurant. Okay. I goes up in court. He gives me a month in jail. I'm just there. I said, what did he say? He said, you're having a month in jail. I said, for a common assault. I had a barrister and he went, I'll sort this out. I said, so what? I said, I'm supposed to be going for lunch with Kate at fucking, at 2 o'clock. So they puts me in. There's no bullshit. He puts me in there. So you boys might not know this, but when you go into jail, you go in, you have two screws in front of you, prison officers in front of you, and the governor's there in front of you. So anyway, I goes in, and first thing the governor says to me, I'm sorry to see you here, David. He said, it's not right. He was a Cardiff fan, he was, by the way. And he told the two prison officers standing in front of me, he said, go on, you can go out. And the one guy didn't like it. Anyway, he said, I'm sorry to have you here. He said, have you in here? I don't think it's right what's happened, blah, blah, blah. And as true as my grandkids and my daughters are breathing there, he turned around and he said, is there anything I can do for you? No, don't forget, I've just got out of prison only 2 years before this, so it's like a dream again, God, oh my, how's this happening? I'm waking up again, or am I sleeping? And he said, can you do me a big favour? So I said, what's that? So he says to the screw behind me, he says, get Bish his own cell, right? He said, I can't. I goes, oh, here we go. He goes, what do you mean you can't? He said, we're overcrowded. He said, get him his own cell. So straight away, I know from beyond, if you wind one of the, if the governor's telling, if the foreman's telling you, right, and you're trying to argue with him, he says, hey, listen, you're not going to like it. So, and it's just, God's my judge. The governor said, can you do me a favour, Bish? I said, what's that? He said, can I have your autograph? He's me in jail, signing the governor, an autograph in jail. Too slowly, honestly. Fucking mad. There you are. That's showbiz.
It's not all dark. There's some sort of light to things. As life's a balance. Again, reading his autobiographies, there's not many people who can say that they've saved somebody's life.
Well, look, I don't want to go on about that, but they all went up to Buckingham Palace. I had mine in jail. I think, listen, I did save him from the river. Yeah, there was a little baby and a mother there, and yeah, but I look, I wouldn't go on too much about that. I didn't think of myself as an hero. I just dragged him out, and it could have been serious. Well, obviously it could have been, but I sort of not played it down. But you know what I mean? Yeah, but. That's just one of those things. I think most people, mind you, my father had the Tudor pub then, which is dead opposite the National Stadium, and Phil Ford, Dango, he ran in. He said, "There's people drowning in the river," and we'd had a lot of rain, and And I said, well, I was on the phone, and he said, so I've gone out like this, all these guys on the top of the bank, you know, on the other side. And it looks out like this, and there's a pram half in the water, and a woman there just hanging onto the pram, like with the tide, with the current. And there's all these guys going, God, no, pull the baby and do this. So I've gone down, grabbed it, right, and I'm not joking. I've gone, I said, is there a baby in there? And there was a baby in there. So I sort of got the baby, I'm fired the baby over my shoulders. The 40's hanging onto one of the bars, stretched on, got her. And she just started to go, believe it or not. I think the pram was going with the current, and I just grabbed it by the ear. There was nothing finesse about it, and I just ripped it in, you know. And the next thing, we had Cardiff youth training, and then a panda come over. Remember the old pandas? Yeah. Come across the cricket pitch, you know. We used to train at that's where we trained in Cardiff. And as the panda come over like this, they all went, "Bish, for you." And like I didn't have no idea it was about this, and that's what it was. And yeah, I got a Royal Humane Society award for bravery and all that, but I think it was over exaggerated.
No, you're very humble about it, but
yeah, I mean, yeah,
there were other people watching that who could have done what you.
Well, no, the point I'm making is there's 5 or 6 men there. You know what I mean? And they're all giving instructions from the top.
Just on another, I would say positive, real positive, right? Do you remember, and I know we're jumping back and forth to things here, do you remember Wales Rugby League? Yes. Right? The Welsh, we resurrected the Welsh team.
Yes, that's right.
Time. I know there's healthcare and there's a lot of history and all that stuff, but we've jumped forward a bit, only because, you know, like we've talked about Australia and that moment and that sort of bittersweet. How good is it to score? Was it 2 against Papua New Guinea? You know, how good is it then to wear that Welsh shirt again?
Right, look, I'm going to have a go at you here. What I mean by that is I have 1 cap. I mean, you went north because how many caps do you got?
10.
There you are. You look at Jiffy. Jiffy only went north. I'll tell you why, because he got dropped out in New Zealand. That's why he went north. He was captain, wasn't he, Jiffy, out in New Zealand? That's why Jiffy went north. And most of the boys who went north, Adrian Adley, etc., only went north because they had enough caps, if you know what I mean. You know what I mean? For me, it was bittersweet. I mean, our team, it was like me playing with these boys in rugby league. It was great. We had a great setup. I mean, great bunch of guys, you know, Scooby and yourself, and, you know, you had Jiffy, you had Bateman. We had all these players in them, you know, and for the first time ever, I say the first time ever, I mean in a Welsh shirt, you had Gerald Caudle player. You had we had Sullivan on the wing. Ackerman, yeah, Ackerman played second row. But we had this team back, and for me, it was like, he says bittersweet, but it was great for me to have all the boys around me, or I should have been with anyway, you know, but never happened. So, yeah, but we had a great setup there, and we had a great camaraderie as well. But yeah, it was a great time.
It was nice. The planning for the week was awesome, wasn't it?
Yes.
Get on the piss really until
Like Wednesday. And then you had Clive Griffiths on a blackboard.
Yeah.
I was playing England, right? I get up, I threw the blackboard. I said, "Hey, fuck the English. Let's get in hand-to-hand combat." He's going with you. I said, hand-to-hand. We get into the thing. It was hand-to-hand today. Let's get in there. And all the boys. Everyone Scooby and so I know it was great.
It was good.
Just a great atmosphere, and just all great for the boys to get back. And I'll tell you what, we filled the vetch up, didn't we? Completely. You know, to 2 or 3 occasions. So.
Yeah, it was good. And getting Indian Park as well, and then.
Well, I didn't. I still retired then.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was nice. Yeah, the Vetch was it was one of the last games played there actually. Before they moved on,
but good days. Yeah, but look, the bad side for me is, you know, it was like a second best for me. You know what I mean? If I had had 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever it would have been, ended up as 1. So it was like all these boys are coming because they've had that first part of their dreams done. You know what I mean? Mine was never like. I mean, I had a letter in 1983 for the Lions tour, right? Which everyone in the squad gets apparently. You know, are you available? This, that, the other, and
And then after that, I get my one cap, and after that, nothing. Nothing.
As opposed to putting the letter opening the door.
But do you remember when they used to send you the letters with the 3 feathers on?
Yeah.
My old man used to open them, and I'd say, I said, what are you doing? He says, David Bishop. I said, yeah. He said, what's my name? I said, David Bishop. He said, no, David Newman Bishop. You're David Joseph Bishop. Make sure you put the Joseph in. I said, you're not playing for Wales, Dad, you? Yeah, it could be for me, he said. He would. He'd open all my mail up, he would. God rest him, man. Oh. Anyway. I mean, I have a go with we had a complicated relationship, and but everything I've done in sport, that's from boxing, baseball, judo. I was a judo champion when I was a schoolboy. Rugby union, rugby league, baseball. It was him, I mean, he's the big. Pross comes obviously second to that, but my father taught pretty much. He had me kicking with my left foot when I was 5 years of age, and I mean, if you can imagine that, like he'd give me an extra half hour out on a patch, which used to be a playing field outside the house, and like trying to kick with your left foot, and when you're 5 years of age, it's really, but he'd give me an extra half hour out on a patch, and I'd look around and he wouldn't be looking, right? So I kick with my right foot then, and curtains is open. You kick with your right foot again, he said. You'll have the belt on your ass, and he said, you'll be going to bed now. So all of a sudden, and then it just comes, he just drilled it into me, like, you know what I mean? And there's so much... and I think you'll see it. The story I told Brendan throughout the book, and Brendan, I mean, he's done Brian O'Driscoll, he's done Keith Woods, he's done Bradley Wiggins, he's done all these people. So I just trusted him to put it in the right way, where I might deaf and blind and say this, and he'll put it in a different way, if you like. But as long as the basis of the truth is there, that's I've trusted him, and that's it. Like I've trusted him over there. My new agent.
Won't be trusting him after this. So after your rugby league days, you did come, obviously they lifted the ban then. You kind of aged out in terms of playing, but you did go back as a coach.
Yeah, right. Look, the Roland journey, I think you'll agree, it's the brutalest game I've ever played, rugby league, man. And maybe we were new at it, The only thing the same with rugby union and rugby league is the posts and the ball. That's it. That's it. The game's quicker than union, far more quicker, far more harder physically. I mean, you look at the scrums and being union people, you laugh, you know what I mean? For them, it's just a restart. It's a restart.
With Kit taking all his bodies out of the way.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why they don't scrummage on it. And I said, well, you don't even scrummage up here. And he said, look, for us, it's just like back in when we were playing, you could have a penalty, you put it out, and they say, oh, let the other team's line out. Now, you have to have a scrum in union, you know what I mean? In league, it's just he said, right, you put it out, you get the penalty, they put it in the touch, we have the throw in, we win the ball back. So where's the advantage in that? And that's what they say. They say, why should, if you come into an offence, if you come into an offence, whether it's a knock-on, whatever it is, why should they have a 50-50 chance of getting the ball back? Which, when you think about it, there's a lot of sense in it. So for them, it's just a means of restarting the game. I know if you look at union now, the scrum halves are putting it in the back row anyway. Yeah. There's no point for another.
As long as the hooker actually hooks, right? They allow you to feed it.
Absolutely. And a hooker's job now, compared to when back in the day, I mean, he's like a flanker, to be honest. He got to throw in, he got that importance. He's got to be about the park everywhere. And luckily for him, he's not getting murdered in the scrum, because, but up north, you get a prop will take it up 48 times in a game and make 48 tackles. Yeah. Now, a flanker in union at international level, if he makes 12 to 13 tackles, right, he's had an exceptional game.
He's on the shoulders.
Unbelievable. Yeah, exactly.
If you're a rugby league scout and you were looking at union scrum halves or union backs,
they're not the same.
Somebody like Jiffy at outside half.
Yeah. Jiffy started off on the wing and fullback, didn't he?
He wasn't of a big build. You wouldn't look at him and think, right, he will make it in rugby league. He did, as we all know.
They were a good sideman with us.
But I think looking at you were ideally...
not as a scrum half, I played for Wales at loose forward. And hooker. Remember I was
yeah.
I was in dispute with Alcair. And
I went up to Griff phoned me and he said, look, and then Andrew Mills, and he said, well, look, we want you back. I said, well, I haven't played for 8 months. He said, get aside. I said, who am I going to get? Who's going to pick me? So I ended up in Fulham, okay? I've been London Crusaders or whatever it was. I went up there. And then, I could say this now, they give me £8,000, right, for 6 weeks. So I played 2 games and didn't go back, right? I played for Wales and Griff put me in a ducker. I said, you're having a fucking laugh. So the first thing against England, I've gone on and I've smacked Lee Crooks. I dislocated my finger, which never been put back in properly. And then you have Scooby coming in, it's brilliant, man. But scrum halves up there. I mean, Kevin Ellis. I hope you're listening, Kev. But Kevin Ellis, he done quite well up there as a scrum half. But he was
quickly.
Yes, but he was ineffective, don't you?
He's just choking on his pina colada now.
Yeah, he can choke on what he likes. I'm not saying, mind you, he's as good as Robert Jones, I'll say that. No, I mean, he's the only boy. I mean, Griff went up as a scrum half as well, didn't he?
Ellens, yeah.
And Griff played outside half for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
instead of Gary Pearce, they were.
Yeah.
So when you're looking who's on the bench and who's playing, but we had a great side, but I would say obviously I didn't see Griff play at all, but for me, when I wasn't playing, Jonathan Griffiths was the best scrum half when I was playing, under me, if you like. And I think Griff only had about 2 caps, didn't he?
Yeah. We had
unbelievable.
With Johnny Griff, right, top guy. Right?
Oh, yeah.
I remember we played Australia in Indian Park, and fortunately, right, it absolutely hammered down. Right, fucking blowing a gale and pissing, right. So we only lost like 36-6.
Is that when Debs ran into
that's it.
broke his jaw?
Isn't it? Oh no, Malmalinga. I was left side second row, right? Debs was left side centre outside me, and Malmalinga came on the corner, and I was very good at positioning my body at an angle that he would run back outside me thinking, right, there's a break here. Yeah. And he ran to Devs. And
Devs tried to smash him.
Yeah.
That's how bright Devs is. Tried to run into a brick wall, listen. And he was about 19 stone and he was...
just got it all, didn't he?
Huge he was. He was great, an all-time great like that. But I remember, that's what I remember about Devs coming on. He's got my jaws hurting.
So yeah, they had Wendell Saylor, another one like 6'4", like a full-on athlete. Yeah. And we said before the game, it was like messing about. I said, Johnny, Griff, and about 2 or 3 of us, if we tackle him, right, just say, hello, sailor, right? So
typical Westphalian guy.
So it was a kick and gone dead. Tap, the tap on the 22, and it was given to Wendell Saylor. And next thing you know, I've pushed up on the left side second row. Johnny Griff is in the tackle, right? So I've pushed up, and we're backpedaling now. That's all I can hear from a pile of like 3 bodies is, hello, sailor. I'm thinking, fuck. So I was, to me, we won.
Yeah. He was a good player, my name's Sailor. But no, Griff, for me, I think the Neath boy got capped a couple of times as well, didn't he?
Chris Bridges?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And
he was good.
No, I'm not. He wasn't international. I don't mean, I'm not being rude there, Chris, if you're listening, or you do get to listen about it. But, I mean, your coach took over, didn't he? What was his name?
That's
Ron
Waldron.
Yeah, Ron Waldron.
He did. We went to New Zealand with John Ryan and it. Yeah. Not John Ryan. Quinnell.
No, I'll tell you who it was. No, he just died, haven't he, recently? Was the fella from
North Wales, from London Welsh.
London Welsh, that's him. You got him, yeah.
You'll have to. Tony Gray. Tony Gray.
Is it? No, not Tony Gray, is it? I don't know.
Great. God,
anyway,
please edit this bit because it looks
matter.
really ignorant.
Well, I know. I only had 1 cap.
Yeah. Tony Gray from North, and Quinnell.
You had a few scrum halves. I'm not going to name their names live. I will. You had the kid from wasn't a bad player. The kid from Uwick. Don't forget when I was playing, mine. When you were playing, there was about 10 caps given to the police. Hey, listen.
Steve Healy.
Who was the flanger?
Collins.
Martin Morris.
You look. No, what was his name? He played quite a bit. He was a 6, he was. Look, I'm not going to deframe him on the thing, but none of you were good enough. Well, I wasn't.
Hang on, I'm going to leave the room now and ask him about me, right?
Well, no, me and him, first time we played together was in the 7s down in Newport. Yeah. The only team you ever played in where we didn't get a point score against us throughout the whole tournament. Do you remember that?
Yeah, we'd overloaded that team a bit.
And we put half the town on the sick.
Newport Pem Sems.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
We had a couple of 3 New Zealanders who were playing for Pontypool at the time, and we went down and first time I met you, really, I think.
We owned the place.
And he said, well, we had to hide from hotel from lodgings to lodgings. I'll tell you that we were down there the weekend. But no, fabulous time. We won it. We didn't have a point scored against us. That's the first time I met Roland. I think who you played for then, Ro? Like you were St David's boy, weren't you?
Yes, St David's. I was Neath, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
just
that.
moved up.
Oh, okay.
I was we travelled down with Alan Edmonds.
Batman didn't play, though, did he?
No. He was. I think that early stage, Batman was still with my stake.
Yeah. There you are. Great tournament. But we went the whole tournament without having a point scored against us. And Roland wasn't man of the tournament.
No. I can't. I don't know. I can't get past those 2 games we lost last season against Pontypool. But
there you are. We lost a more on that, mind. But listen, let me tell you this, mind. The holy grail of Welsh rugby, when we were playing, was the Swefts Cup. Yeah. And you look at it now, it's like, what have we got?
It's just
what have we got?
The clubs play against each other in their own league because
ridiculous.
If a Premiership club now played against a Division 4 like they used to, and you should have some giant slayings. Well,
let me ask you and you this: what do you think about bonus points? Truthfully,
I actually felt it was. I go for it. I quite like it personally.
At club level, I think. It does. When a game it makes the team play until the end. At international level, I don't like it.
Well, let me tell you this: you're both talking shit. Right? No, listen. This is my opinion. No, how can you be rewarded for failure?
Yeah, if you lose by.
How can you be rewarded for failure? You're encouraging sides, right? They're 35 points down or whatever, right? Or if we get one more try, we'll get a point. You cannot be rewarded for failure. And if you change that ethos, well, look where we are.
That's a fair point. That is a fair point.
No, you cannot be rewarded for failure. I don't. And yesterday, it's the first time I found out. Last night was when who got sent off. He got sent off in the Irish against the All Blacks last night.
Tyke Byrne.
Yeah.
Tyke Byrne, sorry, yeah. And 20 minutes later, there's another player on.
Yeah, get a 20 minute red card.
I never even there you are. So much I watch rugby. I
agree. Look, I can see the point because if you look at the league, rugby league, right?
Yeah,
it's a 2-point win, 1-point draw.
That's right.
Amen.
That's it. Amen. That's right.
And if it's a draw at the end of the game,
they have a
golden point.
Yeah, that's right.
So, like, in that sense, it makes you think, right? So it's got to be played to a win.
My exact point is this: if Neath plays us, or we play Neath, or whoever we play, you win or you lose. You can't go, we got away with fucking 4 bonus points there, and they got 2 or whatever it is. I don't even,
Yeah.
I can't see anyone in sport. If you play box, if you racing car driver, whatever you do, if you're first, you're first. It cannot be rewarded for failure.
I do think it's a valid point, but because of the way modern rugby is, and it's a business, that you're going to start, if you're 35 points down, you're going to think, we've got a game we can win next week. Let's take our 4 best players off.
But I get what you're saying. No, sorry. I get what you're saying. It's from a business point of view. Yeah. Look, Welsh rugby has never been in the straits it's in until now, and it's been built up over the last 24, 25 years, right? Whichever way you look at it, let's look at the Welsh team right now, and at this point, right? We got the best stadium in the world, arguably, right? We have bands in there all over the summer. And we get the lowest paid. We're the lowest paid in the 4 nations. Even Scotland are bashing us, right? Our grassroots rugby, which they talk about, let's not worry about the grassroots, and I'm not being rude there for the listeners. Let's worry about what's at the top of them and then build down from the top.
You know, I know you've got to build from the bottom upwards, but if we got any good players, how do you think Rhys Zammit ended up playing for Gloucester? Because they pinched him and took him to private school over there, you know, and that's what they'll do with all our players. Look, I'm not saying we can go back 24 years to where it started, which I said on real radio, this will never, ever work. We're a very tribal country. And whichever part of Wales you're from, we're very tribal about it. I mean, Neath playing Bridgend playing, you know, Pontypool. You know the derbies, Pontypool, Newport, Cardiff, Newport. Absolutely. Yeah. You know, and we haven't got that these days. We just haven't got it. And to say we're cutting, you know, from 4 to 3. But going back to your point, on a business point of view, we're less now than ever on crowds. No one's they give 5,000 tickets away to watch this All Blacks game for kids. And well, what if me and you have just paid £100 a piece for our kids? You know, and they've just given. They can't even fill the stadium up. You know, there's nothing going there, and we're at the lowest point ever. And getting back to what you said, on a business point, right? They got to go back to clubs, in my opinion.
I agree.
They've got to go back to clubs, and I think we've dug a hole so deep now we just can't get out. And we got a guy now, an Englishman. We got an Englishman now who's the director of
Reading.
Reading, yeah. He's English, and with the greatest respect in the world, with because I don't think she's been very well.
RBT&E.
Yes. Yeah. Right. Listen, she comes from the post office.
Passports in the passport office.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, but the point I'm making is like, why don't we get a proper businessman in there? I mean, I'm not just blowing names out here or whatever, but Lyndon Faulkner, he's worth about 18 billion now. Get him in there. He'll sort it out in 5 minutes. He done his knee ligaments when he played. You know, I played with Lynn. He was in the cup final in '83, and I'm just seeing that. Well, the point I'm making is forget about Lyndon. The point I'm making: get a proper businessman in there. And if you get the clubs back, this is my opinion. Just this my opinion, which will probably be, you know, screamed down, which I really don't care anyway. But if you get a commercial manager in for the club, let him go out and get some business in. Right now, at this minute in time, well, obviously, you know, you're with Neath, and I can't watch rugby. Do you watch it?
No, very, very rarely. But, yeah, no, I'll be honest, right? Like what you're saying is like the business side of it. That's your role.
That's a separate bit. That's exactly right.
That's your job. Coach, that's your job. You know, and I agree with that because it's all blurred. You know, there's blurred lines. Everybody, I know the money at the top will filter through and have an effect on the squads, but let's...
What's changed since we were playing? Nothing. What they do is they pass one on to the other. Yayan was there with greatest respect with Yayan. He picked the guy who got the sack, and then Yayan had to walk, and Yayan's with World Rugby now. It's, you know, it's look, it was before and it still is now. It's corrupt and it is corrupt. There's no doubt about it.
I'm laughing because I love
no, but it is corrupt and it still is. And they're going to drop one. You know, the boys are going to go over the bridge. If I had a son playing now, as Welsh as I am, right? If he going to earn $500,000 in England and 60,000 in Wales. Hey, come on, guys. What are you going to do? And if he's that good, he'd go to France and earn nearly €1 million out there. I mean, we're looking at one of the biggest businesses in the UK with the Millennium Stadium, right? And we're losing money. We're the worst paid. And they can't survive on 4 regions. Do me a favour. When Neath played Llanelli, full house. Yeah. I look at the games today, right? It don't matter if Llanelli, the Scarlets are playing Leicester, if you like. Never full there. I never ever played at the Scarlets, the old Scarlets ground, with less than a capacity.
No.
You know, and what I'm saying, the point I'm making is people...
Yeah,
the Ospreys fold up now, right? You don't think the Ospreys are going to watch Llanelli or they're going to go up and watch Cardiff? It just don't happen. They won't come across. You know, look, if you're a Neath man, you're a Neath man. I mean, I did something on it's called X, no? With the WRU. I was just having to go to the WRU as usual, you know, but no, they didn't give you a fair shake. They tried to put you into, and that's what it is. It's corrupt. It always been, have been, and unfortunately, I'm going to say this out loud. It's all by you West Walians.
West is best. West is best.
Yeah. I used to hear that so much.
Yeah, you can't get. I thought to David, you can't get Wester than that. So it's all down to me.
But look at the state of Welsh rugby.
Yeah, but we'll always have Newport Pems. We'll always have Newport Pems.
Yes, of course. Well, no, and listen, we'll always have a friendship, and it goes forever. But there's not much changed since we were playing in the respect of who's at the top and everything else. It's still look, and look, the state of Welsh rugby is embarrassing, and that's, should you be going to watch Neath playing third or second division or whatever it is? They're iconic clubs. I mean, you can't go on. I know Blackpool in football won the cup in 300 years ago or whatever it is and that, but we're not like that. We've got 14 little places in Cardiff. There's Cardiff, there's Penarth, there's Glamorgan Wanderers, Abertillery. It's like I went to Ebervale and these little sides, and straight away, if you're any good, right, they'll pick you. Yeah. And if you're better than that, then it's a little bit like playing for. If you start off with Wolverhampton Wanderers, and then Liverpool will come in for you, or let's say if you're good enough, But they're great breeding grounds.
Yeah.
And look, I might be a dinosaur, and I am, because I was 65 the other day, but what I'm telling you is, right, we're different to every other country. We're very tribal, very... And look, up above us, we've got no control over them. We can see they've lost control as well. I think that's all I'll say about them.
Yeah, Neath Aberafon had 5,000 people watch them on Boxing Day.
Absolutely.
There's an appetite for club rugby. And the best crowds we have in Neath over the last few years, Pontypool, Pontypridd now yesterday. These are the traditional clubs who are not represented. You can't come from Pontypridd and feel that you're represented by a team called Cardiff for playing blue and black.
Look, it's like, let me tell you this, and you're going to have a go at me this, because I do a few things for the Dragons Newport. So if Johnny West was listen good. They take players from Pontypool, because that's always dissected. Apparently, if you're Pontypool, you go to Cardiff or this, that, the other, or if they get their hands on you first, right? So they come up to Pontypool and they nick a couple of players, right? Usually the best players Pontypool got, right? But they sit on the bench for 6 weeks, 8 weeks. Yeah. They can't get a game. And this is not for the first team, this is for the seconds. So what they're doing, they're taking the foundation of Pontypool, and I'm only speaking for Pontypool in this, and it's the same as Ebervale, I suppose, and that. But they take them, but they don't take them to put them in.
No, they're just
a surplus. So that makes Pontypool weaker, and they're sitting on their backsides watching rugby. And
takes the development out of the player. But sometimes playing. You need to get your head shoved your ass. To be able to.
But at that age, you want to be playing rugby as well.
Let me tell you this: I watched Pontypool when we watched them 4 weeks ago and 2 weeks ago, and last week at Cardiff. Well, I'm not going to change now. These boys, the standard of rugby is pathetic. It's Parks rugby. I'm not. Oh God, what am I doing here? No, look, great boys where you are and all that, but and again, let's get back to what I was saying earlier. They're not good enough for the level of, and what I'm saying is they're as good as the development they're at. Does that make sense? And this is the one down from the regions, mind. So, look, and it's not the boy. And I keep saying this: whoever plays against the All Blacks, hey. There's nothing better and bigger in all your lives, there'll be, boys, I'll tell you that. But we're just at the minute, we're nowhere. Where are we? Where are we as a country? I'm talking rugby now. Our regions are finished, our clubs are finished, and our national team's finished. Where do we go? Can we become a phoenix? Can we raise again?
Yeah.
I think you need some real talking, some real where's all the money going from these concerts? Where's all the money going? When they fill the stadiums up. I know it's the first time I heard they've had to give 5,000 tickets away. But it's still. I know it's not Twickenham, but they got to inside England. They charge you 200 plus for a ticket. I mean, we're up at 180 quid now. Some of the tickets in the National Stadium. I mean, what filters down from there to so-called Reed to Cardiff, to Llanelli, the Ospreys, which is Neath really, and Swansea, and Newport, the Dragons.
They get £6,000 or 6 million, isn't it? Something like that.
Oh, yeah.
You got 4 players in France earning that in one team. In some sides in France. And what do? The one club's got Fiat out there, haven't they? They had a Fiat. And why can't we do this in Wales, you know? Not on such, talking a big standard. But let clubs, put some money into the clubs, but let clubs employ their own people to go out and do their job properly. If they don't do their job, sack them and get someone else in. Go and get some revenue in for the club. And I bet you could think of 100 names now for Neath Rugby Club, couldn't you? You know what I mean? Look, support the WIU, support the clubs. And what they're talking about now is grassroots. I tell my boy, I said, you're not playing rugby, go play football. Grassroots is nothing. I mean, hey, listen, it's great grassroots and all this, it sounds great and all that. We need it at the top right now. We got to compete. You don't go 19 or 20 games beaten and then scraping against Japan. It's embarrassing for us as a country. It's embarrassing for us as ex-players. And that's the thing, I think they're devoid of all that now. You know, and I don't think there's no passion there or anything. Not from the players, but from the people above. And anyway, you better finish me off.
Well, the phone hasn't gone yet. It's gone off yet, so I think we're still within.
Don't be bastards. I picked it up.
My fathers and never forget about side-burns and side steps and all that before. Now this is your time, boys, it's your turn to score. Singing